Welcome back to Portimao for the FIM CEV Repsol. This is the 7th of 8 meetings in the 2014 season, and we are in Portugal with the CEV for the very first time. We've had a very entertaining first Moto2 race to kick off the morning's proceedings. Watch that back if you missed it. If you are joining us on YouTube, good morning to you. We're just coming up to midday now, approaching 12 o'clock. Next on the schedule then is the Superbikes, and a very tight championship battle indeed. Another 17-lap encounter. Spectacular track, 4.5 kilometres long, just under 3 miles then in length. Clockwise configuration, but really what characterises Portimao. And this is quite unusual with modern day racetracks built back in 2008. Is the elevation changes. It's spectacular stuff, and one man who certainly knows it very well, alongside myself, Gregory Haynes, in the commentary box, is Barry Venom. And Barry, just for anybody who's joining us for the first time as we move into the Superbike race now, this really is a circuit they very much thought about properly, didn't they, when they built it 6 years ago?
Yeah, it's been designed to stand the test of time. You know, it's different than all the other tracks in the world. And nowadays, with a lot with the Tilke tracks, it's designed on computers, and it's actually a sort of a PlayStation track. And this one, you can play it on a PlayStation, but if you're here in real time, it's completely different. We spoke about this morning about running the track. Next time you have to run the track, Greg. So you notice how much elevation there is. You know, you feel like, oh my God, this is like a motocross track. So no, this is something different. Yes.
Do you really want me to run the track? Can I not just walk around, Barry?
We're gonna run it. Yeah, it's good for you.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind for Valencia then in a couple of weeks' time. But they stream their way out of the. Actually, I won't be in Valencia. So
in Valencia, we do 2 laps, huh? 2 laps Valencia. Shorter track.
So Superbikes now. Let's look back first of all at what happened at the last meeting. This is Navarra at the start of September, and plenty of drama there, with Ivan Silva now leading the championship by 3 points, heading into this encounter. We have 3 races to go. 2 here in the Algarve this afternoon, and then Valencia coming up towards the end of the season in 2 weeks' time. This is last time out though, as I say, at Navarra. Away they all got from the grid with Carmelo Morales back from injury. Remember, he smashed up his heels really badly in a crash in Catalunya early in the year. Straight back onto pole position and pulled away from the pack here at Navarra. The track was very dusty indeed off the racing line. They had to be very careful not to venture out wide. You'll see on some of the shots how much dust and marbles and sand there was on the outside of the track. But Morales immediately pulling away from the rest of the pack. They battled very hard further back. There were problems though, quite a lot of problems. That was Angel Rodriguez sliding out of action on the Suzuki. And more drama as well up into the very high-speed section of turns 2 and 3 at Navarra. So often the case that we see riders getting into a groove and all of a sudden it gets away from you. Morales pulling away at the front of the field, and it was going to be a very emotional victory, a 19th victory in his CEV career in the Superbikes. This is the drama going on though further back in the pack. This was the battle raging for the other podium positions, and running wide there was Ivan Silva, who is the championship leader coming into this race. Out went the number 46 there, Pierre Texier, out of the action. It was superlative stuff for Morales. One of his more emotional victories, you have to say, back in action, pole position after the crash in Catalunya. Number 9 was Kenny Noyes on for second place, who took that second place in the closing stages. And Silva was battling very hard indeed. And look, you can see the emotion. Silva demoted to 4th place by Danny Rivas right in the closing stages. Morales going on, carried to the podium. We know he's got those injured heels. It's not that he can't walk, but it's certainly giving him a bit of assistance there in Navarra just a few weeks back at the start of September. And so we move on. 3 races to go for the Superbikes in 2014. It's a double header here. We're bringing the first of them live with us here. Joining us on YouTube for the first time, English commentary with the CEV. Welcome. We have 2 races for the Superbikes here in the Algarve today, starting with this first encounter. We're just coming up to midday now, 10 to 12 local time, and then it will all come to a head in Valencia in a couple of weeks' time. We've got the MotoGP race in Valencia next weekend, and then a few people will be staying there for the CEV finale 1 week after that. Still 75 points left up for grabs. Just to remind you, it is exactly the same scoring system as the World Championship. So it's 25 points for the win, 20 for second, 16 for third, and so on, down to 1 point for that 15th place. And another very interesting qualifying session here yesterday. There were 2 sessions as always. Let's get down to the grid first of all though. Our man Tony Calvo is down there with your pole sitter, Carmelo Morales.
Carmelo Morales, una nueva pole a sumar a tu dilatada carrera deportiva. Carmelo, pese a ser sexto en el campeonato, te vemos con ganas de luchar hasta el final.
Bueno, a ver, campeonato está muy difícil. Necesito errores de los tres. O sea, que principalmente lo descarto, ¿no? Pero bueno, hay que dejar el sello, intentar ser los más fuertes de aquí a final de temporada y bueno, de momento estamos trabajando muy bien y sin presión, o sea, nos intentamos divertir y bueno, por el momento parece que va bien. A ver, pero este circuito, o sea, es muy difícil y un error, o sea, es muy fácil de hacer. O sea, que ya veremos lo que sale, a ver.
Gracias, suerte.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Morales just explaining there that the circuit will punish you. It is a difficult circuit. Also saying at the beginning of the interview there that the championship looks difficult now. Don't forget he did miss 4 races after that very nasty accident in Catalonia. Won the first race of the season back in Jerez. Finished second at Motorland Aragon in the first of the races there. Then he missed those 4 races. Well, actually, he failed to score first of all in the second Motorland race there. Then he had the crash in Catalonia and missed a lot of races. Let's go across then now to second on the grid. This is Pietri there in the middle of that front row.
Robertino Pietri, cuarto en el campeonato, a 12 puntos de Iván Silva. Circuito nuevo y una gran posición en la parrilla. Te has adaptado muy bien a este nuevo trazado.
Sí, un circuito nuevo para todos o para casi todos y la verdad es que nos adaptamos rápido. Un circuito maravilloso con subidas, bajadas, desniveles. Es muy divertido para los pilotos, me parece, también para los aficionados. Sí, como dice, estamos aquí 3 carreras al final, cuartos en el campeonato, todavía con chance y bueno, pusimos la moto aquí del PL Racing Kawasaki en el segundo puesto de la primera fila, que es importante para nosotros. Todos los rivales en campeonato están detrás en clasificación, así que es lo más importante. Ahora hay que hacer una carrera inteligente, pero hay que atacar, quedan pocos puntos en juego y hay que jugárselos.
Gracias, suerte.
Thanks, Tony, and obviously the more advanced Spanish speakers amongst us, that's not me, by the way, would have understood the whole interview there, but he was just saying you've got to put together an intelligent race. I think that's a very good point, actually, Barry, because we've seen a lot of incidents across the first 2 laps in particular of the Moto2 race earlier on this morning. So let's just see how the Superbike riders handle this one on the run down to that first corner. Just to remind you of the grid, Morales and Paul Pietri, we've just spoken to, is second. Then it's Ivan Silva, and don't forget, Silva leads the championship. It's very, very tight. He's only 3 points ahead of Santiago Barragan. Kenny Noyes is third overall and only a further 1 point behind. So it really is all to play for with 75 points still up for grabs. We'll get back down to Tony in a second. He'll be there with Ivan Silva, third on the grid. Here we go then. Silva, number 22, lost out on the podium, but let's
Tercero en
get
la
down
parrilla,
there.
el líder de la clasificación general, Iván Silva, de una clasificación tremendamente apretada ante una jornada que va a ser clave para el devenir del campeonato.
Sí, tenemos un circuito muy complicado, un circuito nuevo que hemos podido entrenar, aunque con dificultades, y bueno, son 2 mangas, ¿no? Entonces aquí es clave irse para Cheste con un colchón de puntos que ahora mismo no tenemos. Entonces, pues está claro cuál es nuestro objetivo, ¿no? Quedar por delante de nuestros rivales, intentaremos luchar por la victoria, tenemos ritmo para ello, pero lo primordial es controlarlos a ellos y con cabeza.
Gracias, suerte.
Thanks again, Tony. Well, Silva may have been 6/10 down in qualifying yesterday, but just noting there, he's confident that they do have the race pace for victory here this afternoon. So I suppose, first of all, Barry, the main quest is getting through those first 3 corners, because it's all right-handed all the way through from turn 1 to the Lagos corner at turn 3 without problems. And if they do, that'll be more than the Moto2 riders managed to do.
Yeah, well, the big difference is, of course, that the riders here are a little bit more experienced and less emotional about the first couple of laps, I think. The big question is, who's going to be able to run a good race pace with these tires? Florian told in a press conference after the race that the tires dropped after 7 laps. That's on a Moto 2. On a 200 horsepower Superbike, it's going to be even worse. So if you look at Morales with a 44.6 in qualifying, you're 6/10ths faster than the others. If his race pace is a little bit like this, he's going to have no problem. But if tires drop after 5-6 laps, then Portimao is a demanding track, especially for guys with an injury.
It's an interesting situation, isn't it, in terms of bikes as well, because we've got 2 Kawasaki's on the front row. Championship leader Silva is on the leading BMW. Then we just saw Rodriguez with the Suzuki, Kenny Noyes there with the Kawasaki, son of Dennis, of course. Don't forget he was on pole position for the Moto2 race at Le Mans in France, the World Championship race that was 4 years ago, back in 2010. Did make a wild card as well this season in Aragon. And then moving down to the bottom of the Second row, number 7 here, is Danny Rivas on another BMW. So it's nice to see a good mix of different motorcycles up there.
Yeah, still the world here turns green. A lot of Kawasaki's, of course. Last year, Javier Forest dominated on the Ducati, and he did it this year again in the German Championship. The Ducati Panigale seems to be one of the bikes to have, but also in the Kawasaki or the BMW. Suzuki is a strange fish. I mean, power-wise, they're low. They don't have enough power. Also, electronics are a little bit less than on the Kawasaki. So Kawasaki turns the world, and then BMW is still there, and we hope to see some Ducatis again in the future.
Here's one of those many Kawasaki's. This is Santiago Barragan. Watch out for him then. He's second in this championship. Closest challenger to silver with 3 races to go. 2 of them are here today in the Algarve. We're bringing this first one of Superbikes absolutely live. 3 points behind then. Barragan behind Ivan Silva at the top of the championship. And here is exactly then how this grid pans out. It's Morales on pole position for the 2nd race in a row. So 2 races back from injury, 2 pole positions. Pietri, the Venezuelan, in the middle of that first row from Silva. We heard from all 3 of them down there with Tony. Rodriguez, Noyes and Rivas competing row 2. Then it's Barragan. Watch out for him, for Martinez and Alves there in 9th position. So as you can see, quite a mixture there of nationalities, but certainly Spanish heavy in the top 9. Further back there you've got Wainwright, the British, leading as well. I have to say the leading British rider there is Wainwright in the middle of that 4th row. And we move further down the order. Now don't forget as well, with this situation in Superbikes, we also have 2 classes. With Moto 2, we have the Moto 2 runners and the Super Stock 600 runners. In the Superbike ranks, we also have the Superbike privateers. And that's a situation at the moment headed up by Raul Garcia. But that's quite an interesting situation with these Superbikes, because Garcia is not actually competing here this weekend. So you have to say it's a strong situation for Alejandro Esteban, who is 16 points behind him, 2nd in the privateer ranks, and he's the number 3 bike. So we might see him further back in the pack as this race progresses, when he's actually starting right in the middle in 13th position. Now at the back of the grid there you can see it's Gregory, that's Neil Gregory, one of the other British riders on a Kawasaki. The grid now starts to clear. So Barry, you've raced here yourself. It's a complicated run over the brow down to turn 1, but we keep stressing they've got to stay out of trouble. And also, if anyone who wasn't with us earlier on in the coverage, there's those bumpy sections where the car circuit rejoins the bike circuit. And I know we keep going on about it, but it's a big factor because it's caused several problems already today.
Yeah, although here on the, actually Superbike is still a stock bike being built for racing. On the stock bike, the bumps are a little bit less than on the prototypes. You see them in Moto 3, the bikes even come off the ground, and in Moto 2 you also saw them, and with these bikes it's going to be a little bit less.
And let's have a proper look at this Portimao circuit. A lot of car racing happens here, not quite so much motorcycle action. It's great to see them that the FIM CEV Repsol is here for the very first time. First meeting as well also for the series in Portugal. We're about 300 kilometres from the capital city, Lisbon, about a 3-hour drive from Estoril, which used to host the Portuguese Grand Prix. So around turns 1, 2 and 3. In the background is turn 3, the Lagos corner. You can see one of the narrower parts of the track here. There's a slight uphill climb here into the 2nd sector. This is turn 4. And they make their way down towards one of the tighter corners on the circuit. It's the hairpin at turn 5. You can see one of the bumps here. As Barry was saying, it's not quite so evident. One rider already then taking the longer loop. That certainly wasn't in the script. And it's Silva who leads this championship. A 3-point lead over Barragan. Don't forget, it's still 75 points left up for grabs. It's a good job they don't have to remain in grid order on the sighting lap. Noyes is 3rd overall, and then Pietri there, only 12 points behind. It is so tight, 75 points left up for grabs, and only 26 are covering the top 5 at the moment, down to Danny Rivas. So a lot to play for, and I think that's going to be an interesting situation. If you've got any spoilers with riders who aren't in championship contention up there at the front, that top 5 group are going to have to think about things quite carefully here.
Yeah, we have. My personal favourite has to be Barragan. I just like him. I know him from Super Sports, and he wasn't really one of the nicest guys there, and he still is good for talking. You know, for the other guys, for Silva and for Noyes, the fact that Morales comes back from an injury, winning and scoring pole position, mentality, it's gotta make a dent. You know, when you're a rider and somebody's injured and you win the races when he's gone and he's coming back and he wins straight out of the box again, that really hurts.
He's such an experienced head, isn't he, Morales? I mean, 3 times a champion in this Superbike class, including 2 years ago. 36 years of age, so certainly one of the more experienced heads. He knows what he's doing, doesn't he? But it is demoralising for everybody else. He's up there on that pole position again. Now here you ask, where is Morales in the championship? Well, he's 6th, sort of best of the rest behind that top 5 group and 38 points behind. Perhaps it's a long shot, Barry, but if Morales can keep winning races, if he wins the last 3 races and there's some dramas for those behind, he could still be in championship contention this year. But we will see.
Yeah, and even if he wins the last races, he's going to be the moral winner, you know.
Yeah, because he knows he's missed some races, isn't he? Which must be a little bit, as you say, demoralising for everybody else. There he is then. 2nd consecutive pole position for Morales. Won last time out. Won the first race of the season as well in Jerez at the start of April. And we have now then 3 races to go in the CEV Superbike ranks for 2014. This is round 8 of 10. Morales on pole across that front row. You've got Pietri there 2nd. Then it's Ivan Silva, championship leader, on the front row of the grid, down the inside line as the red lights go out. Green flag at the back, then red flag removed from the front. Now they've got to stare at those lights. Superbikes are away in Portimao. You have to say, great start there for Rodriguez from 4th on the grid on that 2nd row, but shooting through down towards turn 1 is Robertino Pietri. Number 4 leads as they make their way down into the first corner. Now then, are they all going to get through cleanly? Because it funnels down as they come around turns 1 and 2 and into the very heavy braking zone of Lagos corner here, turn 3 for the first time. Great start for Pietri, heading the pack. It's getting very, very tight on the apex of the Lagos corner, but great news. So far, so good then. The brow of the hill around turn 4 and down towards the VIP tower at 5 for the first time. 17-lap race. There's a long, long way to go. And look what's happening. Changes already at the front. Kenny Noyes now leads the race. And Pietri coming under big pressure side by side in the battle for 3rd, and there's almost contact. Look at that. Pietri was lucky there to hold on to that one. He's been demoted to 3rd position. Certainly somebody was diving through on the inside, coming through there, taking that position. Now they're around to the top of the circuit, up to turn 8 for the first time. So, fingers crossed, they've got around the first half cleanly, Barry. Let's hope the second half's just as good.
It's already a better effort than the Moto2 guys. There's already a lot of fighting going on, and especially on the brakes, because the corner around the VIP tower is really hard. You can't see where you have to brake. You know, the brake markers are different from the other tracks, and you just have to be confident and guess where to brake. And the other guys picks you as a braking marker, so them to overtake you is quite normal there.
You can already see in the middle of the pack there's quite a battle and quite a gap as well developing as the privateer runners drop slightly back. They're trying their best to mix it with the quick runners at the front of the field. We're up towards the penultimate corner now. This is turn 14, and then they round the very, very long right-hander of 15 towards the end of the lap. Tip it into the right-hander and make your way back over the brow of the hill and towards the start-finish straight. Still another 16 laps to go. It's a long, long race here. We'll keep a close eye as well on the tyres. How are they going to drop off? Don't forget, they've never raced here in the CEV before, and over the line they go then onto the second lap. Ankel Rodriguez leading the way. Strong stuff for him. I pointed him out. He made a very good start from 4th on the grid. Noyes was 2nd as they crossed the line, but as you can see, it's changing all the time. Back down to turn 1. Rodriguez is going to try and come back underneath him, and problems further back. Now, that's a bit of the artificial grass, isn't it? That's been taken off the track there. So
I'm sorry.
Exactly what. No, but that's a hazard, isn't it? Early on in the race, I don't know whether a foot peg may have collected it.
Probably.
So up to the left-hander at the VIP tower. This is turn 5. 47. That's Rodriguez just putting away, and look at that. Noyes barging through on the inside. Noyes is up into 2nd place, and again, look how many bikes. How many bikes can you get around turn 5 together? They've gone 3 abreast this time. So it was 2 abreast on the first lap. This time 3 abreast, and it's all allowing Rodriguez to put out the gap. Noyes is 2nd. And then you've got Carmelo Morales, who started on pole position, running 3rd. So he's done everything right, first of all. Look at this further back, though. You've got the championship leader in there as well. Noyes diving through, and actually that was contact then between Noyes and Ivan Silva, championship leader, who drops back from 2nd all the way down to 5th place. It's exactly the sort of situation Silva needs to avoid very early on in this race. It's a 3-point championship lead for Silva over Barragán. What do we do then now, Barry, in this situation? You're running 2nd or perhaps 3rd. You can see the leader starting to break away. There's no point letting him get away, is there?
No, of course. The little thing that's going to be happening here on the straight, in a normal situation, in a normal world, the Suzuki is not as fast as the Kawasaki or the BMW, so they're going to drag him back in on the straight, I think. You see Morales is coming to the front, so he's going to settle the score there. And Silva has already had contact again, I think. It's now dropped back, so a lot of things going on, and Silva has it's the biggest mind game. It's the biggest reason for, okay, I have to be careful, I have to do this or that. And he's thinking the most, and the other guys are just focused on riding.
There's your order as they cross the line. That's not going to stay the same for long. Here comes Morales, as you say, dispatching of Noyes down at turn 1. So Morales, who started on pole, dropped down to 3rd there for a while, now running 2nd again, and they're hunting down the number 47 of Rodriguez, who's trying to eke out an advantage. He knows Morales was sat there in third place. Hopefully not a look over the shoulder, it's never recommended, but if he does, he'll see that Morales is now up there into that second position. Noyes drops to third, and look in the background, as Barry pointed out, Silva has been muscled back not just to fifth, but now to sixth position as the championship leader. And when things are this tight, with only 12 points covering the top four in the championship, we're going to see dramatic changes, and surely the Superbike ranks in terms of their championship fight will very much come down to Valencia in a couple of weeks' time. This is only lap 3 of 17. Now, we can sort of guess here, but what sort of lap are we expecting the tyres to start dropping off? Because that's very much an unknown, isn't it?
It's Moto2 started around lap 7. I think these guys maybe have a little bit better setup and more choices in tyres, so probably around lap 10, 12. But I think Rodriguez he pushes harder, so his tyres will be dropping faster than the others, although he's on Dunlops and I think Morales was on Michelin, so there's also different between brands. So I think around 10, 12.
Okay, let's see. Keep a very, very close eye then on that graphic top left of your screen. We're only on lap 3 at the moment. Let's see what happens then as we get to around the 2/3 race distance, certainly into the final third of this 17 lap encounter. It's a bit of a late season charge actually, isn't it, for Rodriguez on the Team Suzuki speed racing bike, to give it its full title. And he won the first of the races in Albacete a few weeks back, and really charging. Now look at this. This is Morales, and he's ahead of him down the start-finish straight. Morales hits the front at the start of lap 4. Is that going to be the last they see of him here this morning? It might be. Let's see what happens. That tyre factor is going to be big though later in the race into the Lagos corner. How much may Rodriguez learn as well behind Carmelo Morales? As you say, Barry, may well be the moral victory even if he doesn't claim the title this season. We know he was injured. Look at that brave stuff though, isn't it, for Rodriguez? Back round the outside.
He knows he has to do it here. He doesn't stand a chance on the straight, so he has to do it on the other part of the track.
Look how hard it is to get it slowed down for the left-hander at 5. Morales then did set the fastest lap. Unsurprising there, isn't it, last time round. Morales leading over the line by just 12 thousandths of a second. Good news as well to hear there's been no jump starts. That's just been confirmed, and that's easily done as well. We certainly saw some jump starts in Moto2 last time out in Navarra. So what can he do? He's running there in second place at the moment. Great experience though. He's won more races in the Superbike ranks of the CEV than any other rider has, Carmelo Morales. He's just going to sit there. He's patiently waiting in that second place. But look at Noyes and look at the likes of number 4 as well. That's Pietri, who started up there in the middle of that front row. And they're all thinking about their championship situation as well. That's the difference here. Rodriguez, who's currently in the lead, doesn't really give a damn about the championship fight.
Now he can fight for any corner. If for him it's a race win, and he still has 3 races to go, so 3 wins to gain. But this race is going to be long for him. When you look at the rear, when he accelerates, watch this. It's already started a little bit like a pumping maneuver. Means the tire is getting more hot, and more sliding. So this is going to be a long race for him.
I mean, it's very, very edgy stuff. Having ridden the circuit yourself, Barry, where are the most difficult parts? As Morales now comes up alongside. We'll talk about the circuit in a minute because we've got 3 abreast here. This is lap 5. Rodriguez drops to 3rd position. Noyes is there. And number 4 is Pietri as well, right in the mix. How's this going to unfold down into that very, very tricky downhill braking zone of turn 1? Morales then hits the front of the race. I'm not quite sure how he came out of that on top. Rodriguez is still second, and Noyes, who was on the inside line and looked to be taking the lead down to that first corner, loses a little bit of ground and just drops back in there to that 3rd position. And look at Morales, huge moment at the front of the race. That's very, very unlike Carmelo Morales. He's lost 1, he's lost 2, demoted from 1st to 2nd, from 2nd to 3rd, from 3rd to 4th, because Pietri's coming through as well. Not usual, is it, to see an incident like that in a moment for Morales?
You just lost a little bit of drive. You can see what happens when you lose the drive up that little straight, and you lose the whole straight, to be honest, and you drop 4 places. Same thing happens when you come onto the straight. If you go on out of the last corner just 4 or 5 kilometers slower than the others, you're going to lose the whole straight. And in this class with horsepower, it's not such a big issue, but on Moto3, it's all or nothing.
Look at the wobble as well. Just talk us through, Barry, what's going through the bike? What's going in terms of the energy going through the bike and the rider's mind as well? When you're braking, you've got the front wheel wobbling around.
Of course, here you have a lot of difference in height, so the bike's suspension is working on how the track goes. This one is quite normal. It's just a flat corner. You go out of the next one, but here you can see the tarmac goes down, so the bike will go wide, and you have to keep it on the inside because you have to accelerate again. And now you line it up actually, because here the straight starts. You line it up for the last corner, try to keep the speed, momentum. Mostly this is 4th gear, and then you need to open up fast. You see, when you see Morales, he's open up quick. Bike starts to wobble a little bit, but he does have a lot of speed. And now here, now horsepower is coming in. So now he loses just because the bike hasn't got enough power. But you can see up until finish line, his corner speed is excellent.
And Pietri as well coming out of that final corner, and Noyes tows him along there. They've both passed Rodriguez back down towards turn one, and Rodriguez again, he knows he's got to fight back in the corners. There he is on the Suzuki, in there into second position once again. But it's a real struggle, isn't it? Every time they come along the start-finish straight, it's a very long straight as well here at Portimao. Let's just see what Morales does as well. This is only lap 6 of 17. We still have a very, very long way to go in this race. We're still 3 laps away from even half distance. So just watch Morales sat there at the moment in 4th place. He's going to want to try and break away from the pack. We've talked about this all day so far, though. It's very, very difficult to be able to actually make a break and pull away at the front.
Yeah, in Portimao, leading is the most difficult part. Because if somebody's in front of you, you can use him as a reference point. And if the reference point is gone, you have to do it yourself. And that's more and more difficult nowadays.
And you've seen their fastest up of the race so far for Balagan. Don't forget, he's right in there in the championship. Started 7th on the grid. He's still running 7th in the race. He was just under 2 seconds behind the leaders at the start of this race. And Balagan is the closest challenger to Ivan Silva at the top of this championship. Just 3 points between them. Look how the leader's pulling away, though, at this point. Let's see what Balagan can do, because he's closing in. He's homing in from that 7th place. And here he comes up the inside. That is Balagan, the number 51. He's still got designs on the front of this race as well, but at the moment Pietri's managing to pull out a gap. That's certainly the biggest gap we've seen in this race so far. Not even though, as I say, at half race distance. There is a long, long way to go, and this is the equally long turn 15 at the end of the lap. They're cranked over for such a long time, aren't they? I was standing out there yesterday just watching them through there. It's almost scary. You want to shut your eyes because it's scary, the amount of corner speed they're carrying through there.
Now, the most spectacular part is that when you ride it, you cannot see where the corner ends. So you just open, and you keep opening, but you don't know where. You're just hoping that you'll stay on the tarmac, you know? Which is, as a rider and as a spectator, is quite spectacular.
Yeah, spectacular indeed, and Silva hoping he stays on the track. Silva now goes second. That's great stuff for Ivan Silva. He's timed that well. Comes through to second then at the start of lap 7. Pietri still pulling out that gap at the front. Silva second, and you have to say, very, very good stuff indeed then from Rodriguez, as he's still holding that 3rd place. Morales now dropping back into 5th place. It looked for a moment as though Morales was going to start pulling away. Just as he hit the front, there was that big moment, wasn't there, coming out of turn 4 earlier in the race, and he's right in the middle of this pack. Watch out as well for Balagan. He was 6th. He's taken a place. He's taken Rivas as they started this lap. You can see top left of your screen there, 7/10 now between 6th and 7th places. The next target then for Balagan is the pole sitter. Morales, there's 47, Rodriguez, there is Morales. This is down the dip through the left-hander at the Craig Jones corner, then we're up to the right-hander at Portimao Bend. This is Turnton, they're closing in on the leader at the same time. We are soon going to have, I think, an absolute ding-dong 6-way fight for the lead. Massive wobble there in the middle of the pack. Now are they going to avoid him? Balagan loses it. We know he was the fastest on the track. That is major, major news. Is it Balagan or is it actually the 47? I think it's Rodriguez, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's just hope he's okay.
He almost did Balagan going down.
Yeah, you're right. Look at the marks down the track as well. Rodriguez, who was running 3rd in the race. A huge moment, and that high-speed stuff as well. They're coming out of turn 11. Watch Rodriguez. There he is in the middle of your picture. Down he goes. As you so rightly say, Barry was so fortunate not to be collected there while the other riders pouring down the hill. This is what we said, though, isn't it? Earlier in the race, he's been leading. Not so used to leading. He's up there with the hounds. It's a tricky situation.
I don't think it's used to leading. It's just when you have a slower bike, you have to give you give more. You have to give more going in, going out of the corner, and you push more, and you ask more from tires and from the bike. And 17 laps is a long way to ask 150% from the tires on the bike, and then this sort of stuff, yeah, it's bound to happen.
Let's just hope he's okay. Yeah, at least he's able to walk away, and only that's the main thing. Perhaps a little bit of trouble there with the right arm. Let's just hope that Rodriguez is okay to get back out there if he can for the second race, which starts at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're just coming up to 12:15 local time now here. Energetic first Superbike race of the day then here at Portimao. And look, in the meantime, what's happened at the front of this race. Ivan Silva, championship leader, now finds himself leading. He's got ahead of those behind him. Rodriguez is out of the mix. Now, Balagan lost a lot of ground there, didn't he? As you spotted, there is the Suzuki of Mateos, which is in trouble as well. So, all sorts of drama across this middle part of the race. Now then, what's going to happen back here at the front? I don't know, but look, also yellow flag's fine there, so they need to be careful here. Down the dip towards the left-hander. Balagan's dropped so far back. Still half the race though to catch up. I mean, it's not over yet for Barragan.
He was fastest before this happened, so he could catch up, but damn, he's got a lot of work to do now.
He has, he's almost 4 seconds behind now. Now, is that going to be rejoining the race for Alexander Mateos? Let's see what happened. We're going to see him at the top of the picture, I think. Yes, there he goes.
Just lost the front.
So let's hope he can get back into the action. We're coming through in the meantime. They're here now to start lap 9. We're coming through towards half race distance. Look at this, Silva. It's great action, huge wobble. That was Morales down the inside. Noyes is now going to hit the front. Kenny Noyes comes through at the start of lap 9. Noyes and Silva are side by side, and don't forget, they are first and third in the championship. Noyes is behind Silva in the championship. Barragan, who's dropped back to that 5th position, is second in the championship. There's Morales. He now moves ahead of Pietri. You have to say it's been a really strong performance so far for Pietri, who's 4th in the championship. This leading quartet then, all battling for the title. You have to say Morales is still in the title race. He's down there in 6th place, but if he can keep winning races with a bit of attrition behind, you never ever know. Back at the front then, Kenny Noyes now hits the front, and he's briefly been in the lead earlier on in the race, but this really is the first time he's had a clean lead for half a lap, isn't it? Towards turn 8 again. Now then, there's Rivas. I mean, to be honest, in this situation, Barry, we've still got 75 points left up for grabs this year. He's only got a 3-point lead. He can't think too much about the championship, can he? He's just got to race.
Also, in this case, to fight is the best defense possibly. He's the only one out there on a BMW, which could be an advantage. You can ride it maybe different lines. You've got different power, so maybe he could use this as an advantage for him. The most steady rider in this group is, of course, Morales. And yeah, I'm just waiting for him to take action. You know?
And we're approaching that sort of window we talked about, aren't we? That sort of lap 10, lap 11, lap 12 area. Are we going to see any dramatic sort of drop off with the tyres? Bit of an unknown. Obviously, they've raced done a little bit of race simulation across the practice sessions. It's a 17 lap distance. Now there's Pietri. Don't forget, he started very strongly. Second on the grid he was. He's running around in 4th place at the moment. And they're coming through to start lap 10 of 17. Still 8 laps to go here then at Portimao in this first Superbike race of the day. Noyes leads. Silva is second. Morales now attacking Silva. This is the battle going on here for second position. Now, Silva can afford to lose the place to Morales in terms of championship points, but what he can't afford to do is lose too many points to the current leader, because he knows Noyes is right up there in this championship. He's only 4 points behind him. That's the problem, isn't it? If Morales comes through, not such a problem, but the more bikes you've got between yourself and Noyes, that's the issue. Look at Morales, he's just sitting in there patiently, isn't it? This is exactly where he had the big moment earlier in the race. Couldn't even see him there for a moment, under braking for turn 5. So close he was up the back there of Silva. Now, then look at the different lines. This time, Silva having a real go at Noyes, actually. That's brave stuff, you have to say, around the right-hand, the left-hand kink of 6, up to 7 and 8. This is Morales and Silva battling head-to-head for second place. Morales is through, so it's not a disaster for Silva by any stretch of the imagination. He's still running 3rd in this race. And down the dip again. This is one of my favourite parts of the track as well. It's up towards the Craig Jones corner. The front wheels on some of the class bikes lift slightly there, coming over the brow. Fantastic to watch on the TV and trackside as well. Another drop downhill now here, out of 11, down into the 4th sector, and this is turn 12. Tricky, isn't it, running around in a group like this, just trying to maintain your rhythm.
Yeah, especially with Kenny Noyes in front, because he didn't used to be a supermoto rider or supermoto rider. You can see it also a little bit in his style. He's sliding a lot, of course, but using a lot of the track, in, out. Difficult rider to ride behind. If you're behind a rider who is like changing lines quite often, it's quite hard to ride.
Yeah, I think that's a sort of Randy De Punier sort of situation, isn't it? Every single lap he takes, people seem to say he follows a different line every single time. You're never quite sure what he's going to do next. The line they come then.
Yeah, Morales seems to be a little bit down on speed on the straight. He's quite fast at the last corner because he's gaining on Noyes, but on the straight he's not coming out of the slipstream. Maybe different gearing or just slower bike.
But we've seen this, haven't we, all weekend really long so far in every class. Nobody's passing by the time they get to the finish line, are they? It comes up quite early on the start-finish straight. Not like a sort of Mugello situation where you're able to get in the slipstream down the start-finish straight and swap positions before you get to the line.
No, also...
he's wide.
Yeah, no, he's wide. But here the finish line is on a hill, so you approach the hill, especially on the Moto3 bikes. If you shift 10 meters too early, for instance, you're gone. It's so extremely precisely here. And of course, on these bikes, it's a little bit different, but still, you have to run up a hill, so difficult to pass.
So through goes Morales, then he's going to try and break away from the pack if he can now. Noyes drops to not just second, but to third place, because look what's happened. Silva's come through as well. Ivan Silva, championship leader, and that is a critical moment in the race, because Morales may be leading, but Silva now, the leading of the top 5 in the championship, is ahead of everybody else who's close to him in the points. So it's Morales leading. Silva goes second on the white bike. Then you've got Noyes battling very hard there with Robertino Pietri for that 3rd and 4th position. Pietri closing right in, and now it's interesting, isn't it? Silva's sat there for a while in 3rd place, and as soon as Morales has made that pass, he's now trying to hunt him down for the lead of the race.
Yeah, but this is the Morales thing, you know. He uses his experience, his riding style. Now he's got to make some steps. Silva knows this, he's going to follow. And what I don't really understand is Pietri and Noyes, they're teammates, you know. You should team up, do it together, not fight against each other, but with each other. And they should have done that a little bit more early. But I think Pietri is at his end. He's here following, not fighting. Morales 45.8 now.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty impressive pace, isn't it? Look how he attacked. Look at the different lines they've taken, sweeping around the outside, just lapping back markers at this point. This is an issue we saw early on in Moto2 as well. Back markers need to be so clever as they all come through there.
But I never understand what's happening now. Eh? Now Silva is busy with the back marker to give him a finger or the hand, losing concentration on riding, and therefore Noyes can overtake him. So I really don't understand all the energy you put in the back marker.
And we see this often in Moto3, don't we, in the World Championship, particularly in qualifying. We see a lot of the leading riders getting annoyed with people waving. It's not going to gain you any lap time, is it?
No, and the other one doesn't understand at all what you mean. I mean, you both have a helmet on, the black visor, you don't see the eyes. It's no use at all, just focus on what you're doing, because now the gap is much bigger. Eh?
It's an enormous gap. That must be 10 bike lengths or so now for Silva behind Morales as they come down through turn 11 towards 12. What's happening further back, by the way? Well, the leading privateer runner Martinez is up there in a very, very strong 6th position in the race. Don't forget the privateers are battling as well. And it's actually Alejandro Esteban. He's in a good position because the leading privateer, Raul Garcia, is not racing here in Portugal this weekend. So we'll keep updating you on that as well as this race progresses, and certainly as we go down the results at the end of the race. But as we say, look at the situation. Silva now coming under monumental pressure from Kenny Noyes in the battle for 2nd place, and Morales has broken away. Look at it. Look at the gap. He's gone. He's disappeared. This is Silva, Noyes, and then his teammate Pietri absolutely together. Well, we're talking about them perhaps helping each other. They're not really helping each other right now, are they?
No, you're just lapping 1.3 slower than the Morales. 45.6 at this stage in the race. What does that mean? Has he been waiting? What's he doing? Oh! Just going under a back marker. It's difficult to see, but lap times are now dropping, and he's gone.
And there you go. The gap was 1.7 seconds as they started this lap. A lap ago, they were all together. It's 1.7 seconds now. Here's a Reaper. That's Morales down into turn 1. Look at the battle going on for 2nd place. Championship leader Silva on the white bike. Through on the inside comes Pietri, passing his teammate Kenny Noyes and up into that 3rd position. And in some ways, look at the front now. Look at that. It's Morales just diving through on the back marker. That was very tight indeed. But in some ways, Morales, he's not out of the championship, but he's a long way back. He's 6th overall. And again, these back markers, this is the situation we've been talking about. They've got to try and cut through without losing too much time. This really, though, is the championship battle, isn't it? Because Silva's leading Barragán in the championship by 3 points. Where is Barragán, by the way? Well, he's now 5th in the race, but he's dropped a long way back. He's 8.5 seconds behind this group. And since the crash earlier with Rodriguez when Barragán had to take evasive action, he just hasn't seemed to be able to catch them, has he?
No, his lap times are stable at 46 low, but it's not enough to catch now.
Let's just remind you of the championship situation. Silva leads the championship from Barragán, who's 5th in the race by 3 points. But then you get Noyes, he's only 4 points behind Silva, and Pietri, he's only 12 points behind. So this 3 here battling for this trio, battling over 2nd, 3rd and 4th places, are very much battling for the 2014 Superbike title as well here in the FIM CEV Repsol. We're coming through to start lap 14 of 17. 5 to go then for Carmelo Morales. All he's got to do is try and win races. If there's a lot of drama going on behind, he could still take the title this season. Already 3 times a champion in this phase, and he's heading for another victory. He's already won more races than anybody else in the Superbike ranks. Morales, Silva, Pietri, Noyes. There's the confirmation. Barragán is now 11.2 seconds behind the leader. Martinez is still up there in that 6th place, and he is the leading privateer runner. And don't forget, they're in a battle of their own, a race of their own for the privateers. Separate point system for them, so it was a race within a race Look at Morales though, now it's nearly a 2-second advantage. It's the left-hander of turn 5. And I think, to be honest, that's it, isn't it, Barry? He's gone. As long as there's no rare technical problem or whatever for Morales, it's going to come down to who's going to finish 2nd, 3rd and 4th here.
Gap is still increasing, so yeah, he's gone. Also, Pietri and Noyes, of course, are, I said teamwork help each other, but they're still 3rd and 4th in the championship, so they'll also have their own race against each other. So maybe therefore there's been some team orders and talking about, okay, everybody goes their own plan. But in the end, they could have done the job here from the beginning on, and now it's an individual race for them.
I agree with you, though. Early in the race, perhaps, they could have helped each other, couldn't they? And then really battled across the last third or so, knowing the others had dropped slightly back. At the moment, the situation is Silva here might lose a few points. He's going to lose 5 points to Morales, who will then decrease from 38 points behind to 33 points behind the championship leader with 2 races to go. But Silva is critically running ahead of Pietri. He's running ahead of Noyes. Let's see the lines they take through this final corner. This is Pietri on the right, Silva on the left. 2 back markers battling there as well up ahead of them. Now then, Pietri's definitely in the position to pass this time. We're coming through to start lap 15, just 3 laps to go then in the Superbike race. There's Morales lapping the back markers, but what about that battle for 2nd place? Silva cannot afford to lose too many championship points, and through he comes. Great stuff. Up into 2nd place then goes Pietri. Morales in the meantime just sets the fastest lap of the whole race. He's almost 3 seconds ahead now, Barry. That's ridiculous. Huge lead then for Morales.
I think we should get a close-up of Ivan Silva's rear tire. It seems to be looking the right side. It's not so good anymore, let's say it like this.
And he's already dropped back to 3rd.
Oh!
Look, this is the sort of thing we're talking
Yeah,
about.
this is what happened with reference points. He takes the other rider as a point from where I have to brake, and then he makes the mistake.
Yeah, it's easy to get sucked in there, isn't it, into the left-hander of turn 5. Look at Silva cutting through. So Silva finds himself back. It was a sort of gift-wrapped 2nd position again, wasn't it? But those 2 teammates are hunting him down. 2 Kawasaki's right with him. Silva on the BMW, it's the lone BMW, there it is. Down through the Craig Jones corner at turn 9, up towards Portimao Bend at 10, and then 11 immediately, and then they plummet back down the other side. Look at the advantage they've got there. Look at Pietri just closing right in, and then Noyes as well. And a lot of traffic now they're lapping, and this is a real situation. You have to think Noyes and Pietri should be able to take advantage of this situation now. Only 2 laps to go next time they cross the line. Back marker right in front of them. Now, which way do you go? We're up towards turn 14. Difficult situation as well for the flag marshals. They're just coming through to lap there. Lucas de Oliveira. It's the Spanish rider. He's on a Kawasaki as well, but as you can see, huge performance differential. And look, I have to say, those 2 teammates have come out of that very well indeed, haven't they? Pietri and Noyes are right with him. Through comes Carmelo Morales to start the penultimate lap of the race. He is on for another victory. It would be his 3rd of the season. He's 2nd in a row. He's 20th in the Superbike ranks of the CEV. All he can do is continue to try and win races and hope that there's some problems for those behind. He could still win the title this year, which is amazing considering he's missed 3 races due to injury. Now then, this is the battle going on. This is Morales just lapping the back markers. The lead now up to 3.8 seconds. So basically, he's just taken a second out of that group battling for 2nd place in 1 lap.
And he did it at a point in the race where everything fell in place. Gain the lead, take the advantage, be faster. Oh, Silva lost just 2 places here in the back markers. Maybe he's not the cleverest rider of them all, is he?
Oh, look at that. What was that all about, Barry? Just kicking out there as they came up through the left-handed king, kicking out towards Pietri. Noyes has really taken advantage, hasn't he, as they come through the back markers. Goes up from 4th to 3rd, from 3rd to 2nd. So Kenny Noyes is going to try and break away. Don't forget, he's only 4 points behind Silva. How is this going to unfold in the championship at the end of the race? Silva could well lose another one now as well, as you say, to Pietri, who's right up behind him. There's Noyes. He's disappeared off up the road. And now Silva, championship leader, coming under big pressure from Pietri in this battle for 3rd place. Albertino is on the charge.
Yeah, but with Silva, focus on yourself instead of on the others. You know, you can't change what they are doing. And to put energy in another one's riding is not helping at all.
If you do recognise the Silva name, yes, he has been up there and done a few World Championship races before. And what can he do here? He's got to keep his head. Look at Morales. He's just as spectacular as ever, isn't he? The 36-year-old around that 15th and final corner for the penultimate time. And Morales pulling away now. Huge lead of just under 4 seconds. Now then, what about this battle as we come through to start the last lap? Silva goes defensive. This may well be a slam dunk situation for Pietri down to turn one. He's covered him this time. Neuer's certainly, have to say, looking very comfortable now for second place because he is 1.3 seconds ahead of these two. And Silva's going to have to try and defend this position. This is for the final podium slot then. It's Silva running up there in front of Pietri. Very, very consistent so far this season. Ivan Silva, he's finished on the podium 4 times already, including his first and only win of the year so far in Albacete a few weeks back in August. So it's Neuer second, there's Silva, and then you've got Pietri in that third place. It's difficult to know where he's going to try and put the pass in here because they've been passing each other in all sorts of different places so far.
I think it's going to be very difficult for Pietri. It seems like Silva is now riding again like he should ride, you know, focused on riding and riding the right lines instead of focusing on everybody else on the track.
And should he not win the title, Barry, in a couple of weeks' time in Valencia, you know, that might well be a phase in the season he looks back on there. Do you think I got a little bit flustered with the back markers in that first Portimao race? Lost some critical championship points. What can he do there? He's still running ahead of Pietri. This is Morales heading them for his 20th career victory in the CEV Superbike ranks. It will be his 3rd of the season. He will be 6th in the championship, but don't forget this guy, 36 years of age, comes from Castellet de Vallès near Barcelona, absolutely smashed up his heels in a really big accident there when he was leading the race earlier on in the season. It's been a dominant performance, you have to say. Started on pole position, dropped back to 4th early in the race. 3.7 second lead as he started this one, and Morales comes through to take victory in the first of the 2 Superbike races here in Portimao. Strong points for Neuers, who is second. And what about that battle for third? Silva just edging out Pietri, but only by 18 thousandths of a second. Pietri did everything right, you have to say, to get a great line out of that final corner. But it is Silva holding that 3rd place. Critical points then in the championship. Well, interesting situation then. This is really going to tighten everything up now with Morales winning, and there he is. 20 times a race winner then, Carmelo. There he is, Morales winning this one. 36 years of age. He really is the veteran, isn't he, now with this field? He's won a Moto2 title as well in the CV, 3 titles in this Superbike tier.
Yeah, but what is a veteran if you can still win, you know? He's just cleverer than the others. He did the fastest lap times in a race when nobody else did. And he knew the situation, he knew when to grab it, go for it. I can respect that. He's 1 year younger than me.
You could be out there, Barry. What are you doing up here in the commentary box? You should be down there on the Superbike grid. There's Silva then. Do you fancy a ride out there? Because there is another race later this afternoon.
Always. No, that never changes, to be honest.
Yeah.
You will never lose that kind of feeling. So, but now it's better for the young guys.
And obviously you're working very close with them as well, and we'll talk more about that as we get to Moto3 next. Barry working very closely with the riders and the Dutch Federation, Bo Bensnader in particular, who won one of the Red Bull Rookies races, didn't he, at Assen earlier this season?
Yeah, he's one of the young kids, 15 years old, and he's quite promising for the future. We have one little thing, which is weight. Height and weight is a problem, but his riding skills are good enough.
So there you go then, final results. Carmelo Morales coming through for a 20th victory in the Superbike ranks of the CEV. It's his 3rd of the season, 2nd in a row. Kenny Neuers did very well indeed there to get through into that 2nd place. Silva just by the skin of his teeth holding 3rd from Pietri. And you have to feel for Barragán because he was the fastest rider on the track when we had the incident earlier with Rodriguez. Had to take evasive action. Did very well not to clip the rider strewn across the track in front of him. Barragán finishing the race in 5th place. Dani Rivas, a bit of a quiet ride, you have to say, to 6th. Marin in the end who came through, the number 89. Axel Marin who came through to take the leading position for the Privateers. And Privateers filling so many positions then, all the way down the order from 7th to 24th position in the race. So all the rest of the finishers were Privateers. There were a few incidents, as we know, earlier on. 5 riders failing to make the finish. What a great scrap it was at the front here at Portimao. The first time then that the FIM CEV Repsol has visited the Portimao circuit. We're about 3 hours south of Lisbon. Superb facility here, built back in 2008. And we really have enjoyed our trip here so far. We've been lucky as well with the weather, you have to say. A lot of people are saying it's usually very, very windy here. But certainly no signs of that so far since we've been here this weekend, particularly across qualifying sessions yesterday and the races today. It was brighter day yesterday, you have to say. As you can see, look, it's slightly overcast, slightly cloudy there above Turn 5 in the VIP tower in the middle of the infield. Great stuff though. Carmelo Morales once again, he's done the double now, 2 in a row, 3 this season, 20th win of his career. Tony Calvo will be down there to get the latest from Morales in Parc Fermé. This is Kenny Noyes. What a great result as well for him in that second place. Morales, I thought that was him down in Parc Fermé for a moment. It was Noyes, wasn't it? Morales is still out there celebrating. Really emotional victory for Morales last time out, you have to say, in Navarra when he came back from that horrendous injury in Catalonia when he smashed up his two heels. Very, very emotional win. It was his 19th and perhaps most emotional of all of them last time out at the start of September. But a great, great win then for him. And the championship lead will decrease for Ivan Silva over this man who started the race in 6th place. It was 38 victories. Tony will be down there in Parc Fermé wondering where Morales has got to. One of the slowest celebratory laps.